shout out to Rigger 2001 for giving me this idea for the video. Alright, I got you, bro. So let's find out how the 3080 Ti 12GB card from Gigabyte performs in 5 different games when path tracing is turned on, and see if we can get 60 FPS. And let's see what resolution you have to go to actually be able to play it on 60 FPS. We saw how it was on the 5080 a couple of weeks ago. So if you want to check that video out, it's going to be right here. And you had to go down below to 720p to actually get the games to work 60 FPS with path tracing maxed out. So let's see what a 12GB card from 2021 can do in 2025. So we'll be pairing the card with the Ryzen 7 9800X VD and running at base speeds 4.7 GHz and 64 GB of DDR5 memory running at 6000 MHz with the latest NVIDIA drivers. You guys can see the MS Afterburner. It's not overclocked or anything. It's going to be the base speeds and base clock speeds and everything. So let's just jump right into the video. So the first one we're going to be testing out is going to be Cyberpunk 2077 as usual. And we'll be maxing everything out. So everything is maxed out, DLAA, transformer. And we're only going to be testing out 1440p and downwards because 4K is pointless for a 12GB card anyways. Even with a 16GB 5080 was kind of pointless. So we're going to be only doing 1440p and down to see if you can get the 60 FPS. So right here on 1440p maxed out, getting 20 FPS pretty much. So, you know, just going for 4K is going to be like pointless because even in 1440p, you're not able to get even 25 FPS. So that's how it's going to be on 1440p native settings. Now let's try how it's on 1080p. Now on 1080p, we are getting about 30 FPS, which is a pretty decent experience, like a console-like experience, like a PS4 type experience actually. But yeah, we are using more than 10 GB of VRAM, as you guys can see here. And one thing is like this thing is a power hungry card, so it's like going over 350 watts even on 1080p. That's one thing to keep in mind now for these older cards, because they are like really power hungry and pretty much maxing out the GPU at 100% and using 11 GB of VRAM, which is expected. So that is 1080p native, getting 30 FPS kind of. Now let's see how it's going to be on 720p. And now we're on 720p on the same settings. And now we're getting 60 plus FPS. Just like how it was on the 5080. But on 5080 you were able to get more than this, you know. And even on 720p it's pretty much GPU heavy because path tracing is a really GPU intensive task. So usually on these lower settings it uses more of the CPU power, and the CPU performance matters a lot in these resolutions. But with path tracing that's not the case. So you can see here 3080 Ti is pretty much like 99% usage. Here you go. Now let's check it out with some DLSS turned on. Let's see how it is with some upscaling. So we're going quality with 720p settings, and that will give us a 90 something FPS experience. That is pretty good if you ask me. Alright, so yeah, now we're finally able to get more than 60 FPS consistently. Even though the 0.1% loss is 39 FPS, this is pretty much playable. So you had to go from 720p all the way down to, I don't know, 360p, upscale to 720p, and now you're finally getting a, you know, stable FPS. So that is crazy. The 5080 was able to do this to get like somewhat similar experience with just 720p native, no upscaling. Now let's go back to 1080p and see how that is. And this is on 1080p with DLSS quality, still not able to get 60 FPS with path tracing on. I think the best way to play this game on the 3080 Ti, if you want everything maxed out, is gonna be just go to 1080p and then get the DLSS to performance and then play like that, which will give you an 80 plus FPS experience, which still looks pretty decent. It doesn't look blurry at all, kind of. Stick to these settings and you can play Cyberpunk with path tracing. Unfortunately, that's the only way to play it, because you know there's a 12GB limitation. So if you want to crank it up to 1440p, things are gonna be a lot stuttery and unplayable, unfortunately. So Cyberpunk path tracing on the 3080 Ti. Now let's move on to Alan Wake 2. Oh boy. So in Alan Wake 2 we are on DLAA 4040p settings with everything maxed out, ultra, ray tracing and path tracing all turned up to the max. And with that, you're looking at about 12 to 13 FPS. Yeah, this game is insanely intensive compared to Cyberpunk, because this came out after Cyberpunk anyways, like 3 years after Cyberpunk. I think this came out in 2023, so yeah. And it's an Unreal Engine title, so there's that. I think it's super intensive, as you guys can see. Not going about 13 FPS, whereas in Cyberpunk you were able to get 20 something FPS. This is a really vegetated area, and it also makes things a bit more intensive on the GPU. Now let's go down to 1080p. So on 4040p, not playable at all. Don't even worry about it. Let's go to 1080p and see how it is on DLAA. On 1080p, we are getting 20 FPS. And that is still not what we're looking for, right? So we need 60 FPS. You can see it's using more than 10 GB of VRAM as usual. And yeah, this is not playable at all. So on 1080p DLAA, it's not playable. You know what we're going to do next? It's going to go down to 720p. And 720p, still not able to get 60, not even close to 60. We are, in fact, getting 30 something FPS, mid 30s to higher 30s FPS. That's all we can get with the 3080 Ti in Alan Wake 2. This game is just something else, man. That is 720p. Now let's try. So before we try turning on upscaling, let's go down to the lowest settings, which is 640x 480. That is insane when you think about it. And see if we can actually get 60 FPS. And look at the resolution, and the MSI overlay takes up 3/4 of the entire screen. And I couldn't make it, smaller, because this was the lowest it could go. So there you have it. Now we are finally getting 70 FPS. That is crazy when you think about it, right? Gotta go down to some kind of old CRT monitor resolution to be actually play this game native and get 60 plus FPS. That is insane. So yeah, there you have it. That is Alan Wake 2. And now let's try some upscaling and see how it is on 1080p DLSS performance. So even on 1080p DLSS performance, it is 540p actually. It's not able to get 60 FPS. So that is kind of terrible when you think about it. But considering this is a 12 GB card, it's like almost 5 years old at this point. It's all right. Path tracing is a really intensive task on any PC, so you cannot expect a lot from it, especially from a pretty old card at this point. Don't get me wrong, it's still a really powerful card, but for path tracing standards, this is like the second generation ray tracing card, so don't expect a lot from it. At least it's playable, right? So there is that. But now we're going down into 720p DLSS quality to see if that's gonna work, and unfortunately it doesn't. So we are gonna change it back to balanced on 720p, and that will get us to 60 FPS. So again, if you want to play Alan Wake 2 with maxed out settings with path tracing on the 3080 Ti, go down to 720p and bump down the DLSS super resolution to performance, and balanced. That way you can get a stable 60 FPS experience. That's what it is, guys. So there you go, Alan Wake 2. Now let's see another one, which is Black Myth Wukong, which is a pretty intensive title, as you guys know. We'll be starting it off with DLSS super resolution and everything maxed out, so DLAA, but I don't know what this Chinese thing means. So if any Chinese guy is watching this, please let me know what this means, because I don't know what that is actually. So I just left it where it was. Pretty sure this is a new update because I've never seen that before. But here we are, 4040p maxed out. We're getting basically 19 to 20 FPS. That's it. This game is like a really recent game, and it's on Unreal Engine as well. And this game is super intensive, even on modern cards. Even with the 5080, I was not able to get more than 50 FPS, I guess. I don't recall it, but yeah, that's what I feel like. But yeah, 16 FPS is all you can get on 4040p, so it's pretty terrible. Let's see now 1080p. Now on 1080p, we are getting more than 30 FPS, which is playable, I guess. But nope, we should be getting 60 plus FPS. That's the goal of the video, right? So everything maxed out cinematic. Don't expect 60 FPS at all with path tracing turned on any of these games, pretty much. And it's been a long time since I played this game, so my skills that you see here are gonna be really bad. I'm getting my ass whooped here, so there's that. So that's 1080p DLAA. Terrible. Let's move on to 720p, which is the lowest it will allow us to go in this game without altering any config files in the local folder. So I'm not gonna do that. So just gonna stick to 720p. And we are still not able to get 60 FPS. So it's at 50 FPS right now. Pretty much the GPU memory is over 8 GB again. So any 8 GB card holders that is trying to do path tracing with this game or in any game, just forget it. Okay, so because it's not gonna work. And the 0.1% lows sometimes in this game is like absolutely terrible. You can see 9 FPS. It's a huge stutter. Like I said, my combat skills are kind of ass right now. I'm getting cooked, but that's not the point of the video, right? So here you guys have it. That is 720p. Still not able to get 60 FPS. So now let's try doing some upscaling. So 720p balanced. Actually, no balanced. Performance 50 percentage. 720p. You can see the snow flickering in the background. I guess that's because of some graphical glitches with the path tracing turned on. I'm not sure. But yeah, you can see 70 FPS finally. Again, similar kind of scenario. So on a 3080 Ti, so far what we've seen is you gotta go to 720p and then use upscalers like mostly DLSS performance, and then you can get a solid 60 plus FPS experience. Which is kind of sad to see, right? Crazy. This card used to be one of the topest of the cards back in 2021, and I was just starting with a 720p card. To think about it. Let's see if we can change. We can play the game on 1080p with the DLSS performance and get good FPS, and we are actually getting 60 plus FPS. That's pretty good, almost 70. So which is still playable, and it also could be because we are in this open area which doesn't have a lot of vegetation. So when you go back to the vegetative area, you're gonna drop down into the 50s. So that's something to keep an eye on. And this game has a lot of vegetation. Like most of the levels of this game are highly dense with a lot of vegetation. So I'm gonna drop down a lot. And I'm getting cooked by this vampire bat thingy. Because I suck. It's been a long time since I played this game. And I definitely need to get back into this game and finish it off. Because I really enjoyed it when I played it last year. Yeah, so you can play the game on 1080p. Not balanced, performance DLSS. And get close to 60 FPS if you want to go for that. But 60 FPS consistently, it's going to be 720p performance settings. So that is Black Myth Wukong. Now let's try one of the recent titles, Doom the Dark Ages. Of course, has recently been added path tracing, so we gotta test it out as well. I've tested this game out multiple times on different GPUs like the 5060, 5080, 5060 Ti. And this might be my 50th time in the same spot testing out different GPUs. So I remember everything about this map, and I'm playing this on nightmare mode as well. So, but the performance of the 3080 Ti, you're getting barely 15 FPS. That is unfortunately the case. So definitely not playable at all. Super slow motion, which kind of helps in playing this game sometimes. So yeah, definitely not playable on 1440p. Now let's go down to 1080p as usual. And on 1080p, you're getting 25 FPS. I don't know why the audio just got cut off. I think it got corrupted in the middle while I was recording the video. Well, at least I got the video. The audio is gone. Just letting you know, there's something weird happened. The audio got corrupted somehow, and 1080p, 23 FPS. Terrible. That's all I can say about that. Let's move on to 720p. 720p, ultra settings. Same settings, right? So still getting less than 50 FPS. Similar kind of scenario that we've seen in the last 3 games. So do not expect a lot from the 3080 Ti, even on 720p with the path tracing turned on. It's even dropping down below 40s right here. So Yeah, not a pleasant experience. Now let's go and turn on this performance. Finally getting more than 60 FPS like we thought. There you go. History repeats itself. What am I talking about? Well, yeah, you get the point, right? So 720p performance DLSS is the sweet spot for 3080 Ti with path tracing in modern games. And that seems to be the case here as well. So let's go back and try it on 1080p. Still not able to get 60 FPS with 1080p DLSS performance. But for me, this is playable. I can play the game like this. If I had a 3080 Ti and this was my only option, I would definitely play like this. I don't care. I grew up with the games playing on 20 FPS to 30 FPS back then, with 500 MB of RAM on a Windows XP PC. So I can play it like this, but the kids these days, they can't accept any of this. They need 60 FPS solid performance to be considered playable. So I get it. So it's not playable for you guys on these settings on 1080p, unfortunately. So we're going back to 1440p and doing a DLSS performance, not getting any FPS. In fact, we lost some FPS on 1440p as you thought. So there you have it. That is Doom: The Dark Ages. Again, 720p DLSS performance is the way to go if you want 60 FPS experience. And now let's move on to the final game, which is going to be the beast, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It should be Indiana Jones and the Great Performance Issues. I don't know, man. But let's see. Again, I'm not going to go DLSS DLAA on this game. I mean, I'll try it here. I thought the game was going to crash. Don't get me wrong. So that's what you can see here. It's totally unplayable. This is just high settings. I'm not going Supreme because I'm pretty sure if I go Supreme, the game's going to crash. So high is more than enough with path tracing. So this is with the high settings, path tracing. You can see 4 FPS. No point. It's just a slideshow. So we're going to go native DLAA to see if that's any better, right? So native DLAA bumps the FPS from 4 to 8. That's a double D FPS, even though it's unplayable at all means. So right now it's a little playable, but who's gonna play a game on 8 FPS? Come on, even back in the days, I got better FPS. Even on lower settings, I made sure I get at least 25 FPS to be considered playable, right? So 8 FPS, terrible. Let's go down to 1080p. 1080p, same settings, high with max ray tracing, max path tracing, and then we're getting 23 FPS. 23 FPS. By this point, you guys already know the outcome, right? 1080p is going to be like somewhere around 25 to 30 on native settings, and the more you go down, going to get close to 40, like in 720p, which is what we're going to see right here. 720p gives us 40 something FPS on native settings. 5080, I was able to get more than 60 to 70 FPS on these settings. I'm pretty sure if you had more VRAM, should have gotten a little bit more FPS out of it. As you guys can see, it's still maxing out the 3080 Ti at 100%. It's not stuttering, but still pretty sure we could get more FPS out of it with the 60 GB of VRAM. And now we're going DLSS performance. DLSS performance will give us 60 plus FPS once again, proven. Even then, it's gonna drop a little bit down to the 50s. See that small dips here and there, but it's pretty much playable. This is a pretty smooth 60 FPS experience. This is a single player game where you can just pretty much chill and enjoy. Not something like Doom: The Dark Ages where you need really twitchy movements and reactions and reflexes to actually get kills, especially when you're playing on Nightmare mode. But this game is pretty chill. So this is pretty much playable. So now let's try 1080p with DLSS performance. So we're getting something that we got on 720p native. So 40 something FPS though. That's what we are getting on right here. That's what it is, guys. So 3080 Ti, if you want to play path tracing, like you see in these 5 games, gotta go down to 720p and go performance DLSS, and then you get 60 plus FPS. And that's pretty much it. That's the 3080 Ti performing in 5 different games with path tracing turned on. I mean, yeah, can't do much about it, right? So it's a 12 GB card. Once again, shout out to Rigger 2001 for giving me the idea for the video. And I hope you are clear about the performance right now, bro. So just let me know what you think about this in the comments. And Anybody else who's watching this, I hope you guys find this helpful as well. So if you guys are planning to max out games with path tracing with a 3080 Ti, just have your expectation lowered maybe, or maybe higher, because might not have been expecting this to be working well at all. But this is a little bit better than you expected. I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought, okay? And share this video if you think somebody will will find this helpful as well. So hope you guys are having a great time wherever you are. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.